We are live, I believe. Let's see. Let me just click this one
Yeah,
button. Okay.
yeah, it's
All right, all right, all right. Welcome, 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 everybody. Another great interview today. I'm very, very excited about this one. Ermi, welcome, welcome, welcome. The great
yeah.
Ermias Assefa, the
Thank you for
legendary.
having me. Yeah,
Of course, man. Of course, of course. You're. You know, when I first started out working in like in this field in comics and everything, I looked for a lot of like Ethiopian artists and everything, and you were one of the first few I found. And I think you were in the mostly in the animation sector of things again, but
yeah,
at the
yeah,
same time, you also did other work. You know, you had just an extensive resume with whether it's children's books or I think you even worked with like musicians maybe or cover art and things like that.
mhm.
Um, but you are one of the long-standing Ethiopian artists that I am very very proud to have on this anthology. You're on the last anthology as well. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
I think you're also one of the ones that is like pushing the Ethiopian storytelling, visual narrative to new boundaries. So welcome. I'm very 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 happy to have you.
yeah.
Um,
It's a pleasure. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I know it's late, so we'll get started. Yeah.
yeah. Sure, sure. Yeah, let's go.
All right. All right. So welcome everybody who joined us. This is Ermias Assefa, and so I'm gonna kick it off with an easy question that I always like to ask everybody, which is
Sure. Yeah,
before you became an artist, before you became a creative, before you started to draw, you were a fan. All of us started out being a fan of
yeah,
visual stories, movies, things that inspired us. What was it
yeah.
for you, and what are those early memories of the stories that you're like, oh my god, I gotta do this, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think, Lois, surprisingly, I was not actually introduced early on with comics or animated movies. Generally, movies. I didn't have like TV or we didn't have any of that access when I was little. So I think the first we had uh, I think we bought a TV when we were I think grade 6 or 7, that kind of thing. So it was too like very late, but I always used to put my ears up and listen to what the kids were talking because they be watching movies at home over the weekend and they come on Mondays and they talk and it's like it's over they oversell everything. It was nice because it was not my introduction to the storytelling world was not actually it was not a visual thing. It was I used to listen to them talk. I think it was MacGyver. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right with
Right.
yeah yeah he was so like cool. I don't know how I think later on I saw a few episodes later on, but I think that was the introduction for me. But after a while, I think Ayana yesterday, I think or the first interview was he was saying Treasure Planet. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was a big influence. It was a beautiful movie. I don't know if have you seen it?
I
Do you
did. I
remember?
looked it up
You
after that
did.
interview, and I have seen it. I have seen it, and I even think they're making a
Yeah.
live action of or
Oh,
planning a live action of that series. You're
okay. Oh, yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, story wise, visually it was stunning. And after that, I think the earliest memory I have was a game called Prince of Persia. I don't know if you know it, but uh,
Of course, the computer.
it was fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. It was fascinating. I think the first game I played was that, and it was stunning. Visually, it was. I think now I see it. It's not that of like it was not that good visually, but
Yeah,
for its time, it was perfect. It
it
was
was.
superb, and I think I am influenced to jump into character design mainly because of that game. There were characters I was adore, like I really adore to this day. I remember. I even remember their names. Like Dahaka was a villain. It was some kind of monster or creature, and I enjoyed that game. I think it was in the summer that I played it, and I uh, through the day I played it the whole time. Even having lunch was very difficult. Picking myself up and going to have lunch, that was difficult, but it was stunning, and that was like the biggest influence. I think it's not a movie. As I say, Treasure Planet was a big influence, but I think the game Prince of Persia is like the best. Nowadays, I don't play games that often, but yeah, that was a big influence, I think.
Wow, wow. You just gave me a lot of flashbacks. Like that, I remember that game. I remember we
Yeah, we,
had for that game. Oh my goodness. And even
yeah, yeah,
MacGyver and a lot of these shows that we used to watch, whether it's on Saturdays, Sundays, they would just come
yeah,
out and we talk about them at school on Mondays and all throughout the week.
yeah. It
You
was stunning.
yeah,
The thing is, I was like, even now I'm a small guy, and I'm like a size of a pin back then, and I was the first one to in the row, and like people were talking, the students, our friends were talking from behind it. I was like, oh, okay, and I was fascinated always, and
yeah.
that was a great memory to actually revisit. Actually, yeah.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. So tell me, when was the point where you were like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm good at this and I should
Mm,
seriously consider like pursuing it as, if not a hobby, maybe as a way to just to build a
mm.
career. When was that transition for you?
I think later when I after I joined campus, I joined for architecture, and I that is when it clicked. Before that, it was more or less it was a hobby thing. I actually loved it, and I knew in a way that I was good at it because I was part of exhibitions at school and all that. But it was just for fun. But after a while, like after I joined the IABC, it's an architecture school. So that was when it clicked, and I have been doing it ever since. It's been like I don't know 6, 7 years. And at the start, it was not digital at all. It was
Yeah.
pencil on paper, and I loved that part. To this day, I have sketchbooks. I always have this weird thoughts, and I don't want to lose them, so I sketch them down anywhere, everywhere, and anywhere. And even if I didn't have the time to actually sketch them out, I will jot them down or shoot a text to myself to actually revisit. So yeah, that was a time when I said, oh, this is nice. And I think when I was second year architecture student, when I started doing freelance work as a storyboard artist at first. So the illustrations were very crude, but yeah, that kind of helped loosen up the technical aspect of it. Yeah.
Hmm. And have you transitioned now to mostly digital, or do you still prefer with working with pen and paper and like physical devices?
Uh, Now, for production sake, I usually use the digital, but I like it. I even do canvas paintings at home just for the fun of it. It's. I think they play a different kind of game in your mind. It's not the same. I don't know. The traditional methods are they would require more decisiveness. I think the digital is like you do have control Z, so you are not that decisive. And I care about a lot about mark making these days. So even working in digital, I don't usually use control Z that much. I force myself not to use it to be more, uh, you know, proficient what I make each day. So, but yeah, digital is the way to go.
Wow.
Um,
I have a follow-up question, but let me quickly reset the room
sure,
for
sure.
folks just joining us. So everybody who's just joining us, thank you very much once again. We are graced with the presence of the great Ermias Assefa from Ethiopia. He's a digital artist. Actually, I would say just a storyteller, a creative,
Yeah.
storyboarder in general. Very phenomenal artist, and he's just walked us through about how he got into this creative journey, what has influenced him so far. So my next question that follows up what you were just talking about:
Mhm,
where is your stance on AI? I mean, some people, some
mhm.
artists, right? They fear it. They fear that it's going to replace a lot of their work. Some use it
Yeah.
as a tool. As somebody who has, you just shared with me your story about how you used to love and appreciate paper, and now you've transitioned a little to digital, but you still try to maintain that practice and the process and the values. Um, Now we're moving into this new world with AI. How, where do you stand on that, and how do you see it influencing the way you work?
Yeah, I think there's a big discussion actually about AI, but it's inevitable. I think we wouldn't. It would be like very foolish to say no. We were not gonna be part of it because we are already part of it. I think it would be wise to actually use it sparingly, and it does have potential because uh, for much of the tedious work, like there is always repetitive work, especially in production. So I think uh, we can leverage that tool. But I think I read something about someone said. Uh, I don't want to, give art for AI and wash dishes. I,
Mhm.
I want him to wash dishes so I could enjoy the AI. That was okay. That was smart. So for to help you with your production or to automate a few things, that would be nice. But to actually give it all and like it would be also. Not effective in a sense that art is uh, art does have like that emotional layer to it. So uh, if you do, I think AI is devoid of that. So I don't think it would be much of it wouldn't be as effective to communicate with people on an emotional level. So in that sense, I think there is still room for artists always, because what we share, the stories we tell are always emotional. Uh, we share our imperfections. I think my brother Robin said the same thing. Like imperfections are what make human beings. That's the essence of being a human. So uh, trying to replicate that, AI doesn't have that emotion, doesn't have that illogical kind of thinking sometimes. So uh, it's gonna produce what we provide, based off of what we give it. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be that irritated or afraid about it, even though even though people wouldn't even pay me for this, I would still do it nonetheless. So it's not a bother to me. I think I don't know if that answers the question, but yeah,
It absolutely does. It absolutely does, and I think that puts it in a very, really good perspective. I'm with you in that. I think I don't at this point at least I don't see a point where AI can independently
yeah,
create it the same way as a person can do that. And you express that well because AI doesn't feel, and AI
sure,
isn't
yeah,
illogical or imperfect like we are, and it will never quite get there, because that's a very human characteristic, and as long as that's there, I feel that, Shife was saying this yesterday when I interviewed him. Art was his therapy to
True,
what
true, yeah.
was happening in life. He uses that to express and to communicate with the world how he feels and how he sees the world. And so I think audiences will always be craving for that, because we always crave art to
Yeah,
help us understand the world, know where we belong, know who accepts us and who doesn't, and things like that. So
yeah, yeah.
I think you
Yeah,
said that well.
eventually, yeah, it's if you think about it, the value chart is gonna be it's gonna be flipped in a few times in a few decades or so, because the more people produce AI generated images or videos, uh, I think our work, which is like it consumes time, it's very dedicated. Like we dedicate our time and efforts and cumulative knowledge, whichever that is. So I think it would be even precious to get it, but down the line. So I wouldn't be that concerned about it. Eventually, there will come a time when we're gonna we're gonna say, well, this is taking too much space, and we like to freshen up and go back. So that is, I expect that people would say, oh, connect with this AI scenario. Yeah.
No, that's great. The best metaphor I've heard for it is like how people treat organic food today and
Yep.
non-organic. You see, like people want to go organic because it's healthier. They know what's in
Yeah.
it, but non-organic is cheaper and all that stuff. So I think we're gonna have something similar like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
My next question for you is, your work, a lot of your work draws from our heritage, Ethiopian storytelling heritage, Ethiopian culture. And I have a two-part question for you. So the first question is, how do you decide when you're during your brainstorming or your creative process? How do you decide which parts of the culture to highlight, which parts of
Mhm.
culture to you know integrate with other influences, and which ones do you say, what, I don't really want to overshare this part of our culture. I want to protect it a little bit. So how do you gauge what that is, and pass your art as authentically as possible?
Mm. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think the first thing I always do is I was listening to Shafi talking about walking, I think, yeah, and daydreaming. It was fascinating. I always do not the daydreaming, but actually walking. What I usually do is go somewhere, sit down, find a corner and sit down. I usually observe what people do, their mannerisms, and how they interact with each other. And you also have like information or the mental library from all the reading we have done and all the interaction that we have, even interacting with my mother. She's a Modish. Her name is a Modish. We call her a Modish, and she's one of the influences that I have about everything. She, like, sometimes when I talk to people, they will be fascinated. Where did you get that? Well, I get it from her. And they and it's not about like always about reading. It's we also read people, right? So our interaction actually, that's what is informing of what we are making, what we are putting on paper. So I think I love the interaction. I've always loved talking to people in the conversation and listening. As I said, my first introduction was through listening. Uh, so whatever tickles people's um attentions, whatever asks for their attentions, I actually try to deliver it, but not in a sense that so they need it, so I'm gonna give it. That's not the way to do it. It's gonna. you know, go through my internalized thought process, then I'm gonna say, oh, okay, I love this one, because most of the things are either my images or my illustrations, or the animations I'm part of. They're mostly they do have what I believe, what I like, even proportions, or the no structure, or the whatever that is. You would see my experiences in there. So some of them are very authentic and close to heart. They are heartfelt, most of them. Because the thing I do, I think I'm going to share this one. So when I experience something, when I go to people and have lunch with them, have a great conversation, and or any other very authentic experience, the first thing I do when I go home is sketch it, because I don't want to lose that momentum, or that authentic feeling, because after I sleep on it, you wouldn't feel the same way. So I try to um, paint it. I'm gonna take my time. It might not be like a long hours. It might be 30 minutes or an hour, but it would be very authentic. And when I post it, most people say, "Oh, this is I felt this," or I've seen this. It should be. I think in my perspective, art should have that resonance when it comes to feelings. Okay, so that's how we invite people in to enjoy the stories. It's not about the visual. Someone might actually do a stickman figure and still have a great story that resonates with them. So it's not much of a technical thing, but I always find, be it cultural, be it experiential, whatever that is, I would love it to have that emotional layer to it. That's how I do it. So Lomi Aurora, whatever the culture brings. Oh, I like this one. Maybe it might be in my perspective, but it does have that authenticity to it, and that is basically because of that emotion. It might be weird emotions. It might be very overwhelming emotions, but when you put them down, the colors you pick would never be the same if you do it like after you sleep on it. So I try to put it down as fast as I could uh, when it comes on. So I think there is no uh, list to it. Whatever I feel, and if it's something that aligns with my values, cultural or religious, whatever that is, I'm gonna say, oh, this is me. Because if you think about it, what we are sharing through our art is ourselves, right? A portion of ourselves. So I think in most of my art, I think you would see who Ermias is in a way. So, and it's an act of service. Art is also an act of service. So it's what makes it a kind of an expression of love by itself. So I try to do that, and there is no such thing as I'm not gonna share this. If it aligns with my values, and if it can actually help people in a way feel something, or question something, or uh, um, you know if it how can I say this, if they can feel the heartfelt lines and drawings and colors, I think that is a total win for me. And yeah, this is a long answer, but yeah.
No, that's a great answer.
Okay.
I've had so many, while you were saying, while you were responding, there were so many instances where I was like, man, that resonates so much. Um, what you said about, that moment that you go and you experience that thing and you go quickly and try to put it down. I've Not only have I had that similar sort of experience and uh, habit in writing a story or in things like that, but I know of many others that also do that. Um, Especially folks I consider are like great at what they do.
Yeah.
And I feel like you naturally Like this is something nobody taught you this, right? Nobody was. You
Yeah,
just started doing this because of how you noticed how authentic your stories become, and they kind of became part of your process. Even like
yeah,
even people who make marketing and social media say this is one of their advices where they say when you get an idea or when you just have that thing that you want to post, do it then. Like whatever it
yeah,
is, you don't
yeah,
have to post it. Just record yourself in that time, in that mode, because that energy, that feeling, that flow state that you're in when you're feeling that idea and you're inspired is not something you can tap back into easily. And
true,
so,
true.
as much as possible, try to put that down. And I like how you tied it back to the way you decide culturally or what you put in your art is dependent also on your values and what makes people feel and what you're trying to express. So thanks for that. That's good. That's good. That's a gem right there.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly reset the room again. For all of those who joined us, thank you for joining us. This is our part four of our behind the scenes interview. We have Ermias Assefa from the Carry On Anthology, and he's just walked us through his creative process, his journey, how he thinks about art, how he thinks about AI. And so, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to put them in the comments. Any of the comments I've seen so far. Oh, there is a question here. If AI can provide everything we need, would there be any need for culture? Will Habesha culture survive AI? I feel like this is a very broad question. If you want to go for it, go ahead, Ermias. I'll give you the floor.
Um, yeah, I think that we are gonna answer in loops. I think
Yeah.
it is the same thing we just talked about. Um, until AI is gonna experience what we have experienced, it wouldn't give us what we need.
Hmm.
That's my belief. I might be wrong. I might be corrected down the line, but that's my thoughts. And you know, AI is not a human being. I'm not saying I'm not downplaying what the power of AI. No, I'm not. Uh, we ourselves at the studio try to incorporate the AI into small things, not the art part, but small, mundane, and not that interesting things. Maybe you might use it to make you a document or try to write something and compile it.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't trust it as far as to say, please think for me. That wouldn't work. Yeah. So I think any culture is um, it's a cumulative kind of um, uh, container, right? So it doesn't happen overnight. Like what we're talking is about like thousands of years of accumulated culture and interactions and mishaps and imperfections, whatever that is. So I don't think AI is gonna uh, um, address the things that we need. So yeah, I don't know.
That, that's perfect. Well said. And I don't have anything to add to that. I think that's a good response, really. Um, Let me ask one more question, and then I'll let you go ahead and wrap up and let everybody know where they can find your work and all that stuff. My final question to you is: I'm debating on asking two types of questions, but let me ask this one first. Um, if you can download the brain of an artist, creative. Or let's say I asked Shipe a different version of this, which is, 5 years from now, if you check your DMs, your messages, and you got this message from somebody you've been admiring, you've been inspired from, or even a company, whoever it is, whatever you want to manifest, who would it be, and what would they say? What would you like them to say? Um, or which artist would you download their brain and be like, oh man, and then you would do something with it?
Mm. I was listening to Ayana's
Yeah,
interview, and you asked the same question, and it's not easier,
yeah,
even when you spend the time to think about it. But I don't know. He mentioned Kim
yeah,
Jong Il, I think. That guy, it's not even exaggeration. What he can do, and I love working from memory. You know, through years of work, I have collected a bit of, not too much, but a bit of mental capsules about things, how they look, how they work, be it environments, characters, mannerisms, whatever that is. But what he can do is amazing. I wouldn't I don't know, because it's like you don't have the limit. I'm the thing is if he does everything very well, but I also like the challenge of it. The challenge, I love the limitations that I have, because I try to work on something, and I don't quite know how this looks, so I go some do my research, and that is the fascinating part about what I do. So I think I if I download his brain, it's not gonna be that. It's gonna be easy, I think. I don't know, but he's a master. I think people actually look up to him, even the masters, and it's the perspectives he does and the stories. It's too intricate, too. Um, I don't know how to even express it. I think you all have to see him if you don't know him already. So that guy is a fascination, and I came to know about him like later. I was introduced to him by a friend of mine called Ermias. I don't know if you know him, but he 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 and I have the same kind of taste on the art pieces. So he said, "Okay, check this guy out. What he does is amazing, and it's not even he works in ink. He doesn't correct things. He just goes with the flow, and it's so accurate. You'll be, you don't have words for it. I don't know. I'm saying too much, I think, but
no,
yeah,
no,
I
no, not
think
at all, not
I
at
think that
all.
that guy is pretty nice, pretty amazing. What he does is fascinating. So yeah, maybe his, um, but I don't know if it's not too technical though. I would love to pick um, the brains of animators who made. Do you know The Prophets? It's an animated adaptation of a philosopher, Khalil Gibral, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it does have a book, and they adapted it into an animated movie. And I have seen that movie over 20 times, I think. And the
I'm
style
writing
is
it
very
down.
different. Yeah,
I
please
want
say it.
to
Is I
check
Yeah, yeah, you should say it. It's like the narration and the art styles and the direction, the articulations, everything about it is fascinating. So whoever I'm gonna say the group of people who made that, I'm gonna pick on their brains. So that
Yeah,
would be fascinating. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
I love that. For
yeah.
me, like the animated project that made me like if like that blew my mind was the Prince of Egypt. The
Yeah,
Prince of Egypt.
it's a G. Yeah,
Till today, like it's one of the movies
yeah,
I just watch again and again if it comes up or if I find it. Just fascinating what they're able to achieve. And now
yeah.
I'm even excited to see this the
Please
prophet.
do. Yeah, and let me know how you like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for sure. I want to add one more question because
Sure,
what
sure.
you said earlier, it sounds to me like process holds a lot of value in your work,
Yeah,
even as much as the final product that you make. It sounds like to me.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
and
true.
and my question to you is: have you ever had instances where maybe the final product wasn't what you imagined to be, but the process of it taught you something, and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to apply this to this other project. Or just basically a failed experiment that ended up being a very helpful thing in the end. Anything you can think of in that instance?
Always, the answer is always. So I think my recommendation for people in the creative field generally is to watch out for stagnation. I don't. It's like for the creative mind to be stagnant is like, I think that's our enemy. And there is a distinction between consistency and stagnation. Like you can be consistent at what you do and progressively make something better every time. But stagnation is actually doing the same thing, even the errors and all that, and labeling yourself like this is my style or this is no. Sometimes I find people say, okay, they always work in a specific direction, and why do you do this? Like they might not show the hands of a character, like they do this. Why are your characters like this always? That's not your style. That's you not being able to do hands properly, right? So I think there is always the artist delusion. It's like labeling yourself. This is what I want to do. No, that's not what you are able to do, and that's what you are able to do, not what you want to do. So I think to fight that stagnation, I think it's always nice to try something new, and with that, I think failure, like failing again and again, is like part of the process, and you will always learn something, and I will always learn something. And the thing is, I don't only sketch or paint. I do 3D 3D work, like 3D modeling or animating. So I do. I like I change hats and I do everything. That's because it's like pressing like F5 to refresh everything, and again you would fail, and that's part of it. But as you said, it's like one of the things that makes us progress in this journey as an artist. So that the answer is always and I love that, as I said before, I love that part. Process is everything. And I can show you like a stash of sketches that I don't like, but I have learned from them in a way. Maybe the line is too thick, or the line is too thin, or the mark is like too off, the proportions are off. It's like a learning process. And as I always say, we are all a work in progress. So I think enjoying that is what makes art, what makes design. Yeah,
Man, I I can talk to you all day. You always drop some
likewise.
gems. But I think it's time. Please let everybody know where they can find you, where they can find your work, any future work you have coming up. Of course, Carry On Anthology is coming up, so quick plug in that one.
Yeah,
But
yeah, of course, of
the
course.
floor is yours.
Um,
The floor is all yours.
Yeah, okay. So I think they can find me here on Instagram. I'm not posting as often as I used to, but I think they would find a few things that I've been posting, sequential arts, Inktober pieces, whatever that is. They also can find me on ArtStation, Behance, and all the platforms. Uh, Sadly, I'm not on TikTok. I'm not. Uh, I don't have the time to actually do the content for it. So that's all about where they can find me. And please, um, we cooked something nice for you guys. on our recent anthology. I think it's May 6th, right? It's launching May 6th.
Yep.
Yeah, so please be on the lookout for it, and we would love to hear what you think about all the things, all the stories, all the collections, because I know there are very great stories. I've seen them, so I can vouch for them. And there are great artists. You would be introduced to a whole new world of interesting stories and depictions. So yeah, stay tuned. Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you very much once again, Ermi. Thank you, everyone
Thank you, Neil.
who attended today. And again, I put Ermi's handle in the comments if you want to follow him. I'll also be sharing this IG live recording on our page. I'll tag him so you can follow him on there. You can also see this on YouTube if you aren't able to join us on the live version. And we'll be back with another interview, I think, on Friday with new creators from the Carry On Anthology. So, with that said, have a good night, Ermi, and have a good day, everyone. See you around.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao, ciao.